Hi there, welcome to this week midweek market analysis. So as usual, we're going to start off with the dollar index over here. Now last Friday NFP, what we've seen in the dollar is that it has pushed price lower. Okay, and we kind of see it starting to stall and stop and pause around this 161.8 extension. So right now we're observing either of two things here. One is that we're gonna get perhaps a strong bounce, and if we can get that, then from an Elliott Wave perspective, what we're seeing here is a 1, 2, 3 expanding flat structure, and we'll expect another pushback towards 106.47 area. And if we're gonna get that strong little bounce, we'll have a potential buy trade on the dollar itself. Now alternatively, what can happen over here is this may develop into perhaps a crawl structure, and if we're going to see a crawl structure, I think ideally it's going to be the same direction, which is also to the upside, because this indicates a potential completion of this move here as well. So these two scenarios can give us an upside. The only possibility where we're probably gonna invalidate this idea and shift it towards more of a bearish trade idea is if you're going to see the dollar consolidate and forms a correction over here, then we'll look for a sell side. Okay, so moving forward for the next couple of days, you want to keep an eye on how the market is going to develop around this area. Now next up here is the euro. Okay, euro dollar has a slightly different development as of now. This potentially seems a little bit more of a cross structure development eventually if it's going to continue to develop slowly. And if it's going to get that, then of course, overall we're still seeing this as an expanding flat and more downside from here, which is in line with the overall dollar index analysis. Now what can happen on the euro over here is to Thursday, okay, we do have the ECB press conference coming in. So there might be some volatility, and we might see the euro actually spike up as well to potentially retest this top. But even that, it doesn't really change the entire structure, because right now what we're seeing is that this entire move is still the dominant one. Okay, and even if it comes back to like this top here at 1.0805, we're still more inclined to see if you can get a decent rejection and look for more downside from here, because from an overall perspective, this may just be a first move, and what we're seeing here may be the second move, and we can still expect one more down. Right, so that's the overall view of euro. Okay, and obviously we just need more time. Perhaps after ECB press conference, we might get more clue how we want to set this up. Okay, but of course, if tomorrow we come in just before the news release, you see a very decent crawl, you can actually take that news trade down. Okay, suppose if let's say the news does send a euro dollar lower, okay, that will be a trade potential via news trading approach as well. Next up, pound dollar. Now pound dollar from NFP, we did see that continuation of momentum back up, so this is definitely a very clear impulse move, and we've been calling this, a kind of regular flat couple of weeks back, and so far we're getting that very nice little rejection, which is great, right? So basically that kind of indicates that it opens up the possibility, right, that pound dollar has more upside, and essentially what we want to wait out right now is a decent corrective pullback. Using some fips over here, we have the 15618. That will be the area to look for potential buy. Okay, personally, I wouldn't suggest to jump into any trade here, because we're already basically a very strong push. You're near the top of this perhaps impulse push. You don't want to get in at the top, right? You would rather wait for a pullback and then get in at a much better price. So just be patient. The direction as of now is clear. All we need is just that decent pullback, which we may get maybe closer towards like next week. Okay, but all you have to do is just be patient on it. And then we have the Aussie. Aussie dollar, this little move up is not very impulsive, but what we may have seen is this has completed the entire move, and it's not the best and the clearest structure as of now. But if let's say the market decides to just do a decent corrective pullback here, we'll be more interested to take it to the upside. Okay, the reason is because of context as well. If you take a look from a higher time frame perspective on the daily chart, what we have is a big move up, a pullback coming back towards this area, which is around at 50 and 618. So ideally this move may have completed on the larger scheme of things, and therefore, going back down to the lower time frames, we're definitely more inclined to look for buy. But right now, obviously, this is not the best, not the clearest impulsive move, so we'll just give it a little bit more time, right? Anyway, this is not a buy trade setup, okay? So just be patient, wait it off. Then we have the dollar Canadian. Okay, so dollar Canadian is one of the clearest one. If you manage to trade NFP, you get a very decent little move here as well. Okay, but essentially you're still trading the bigger corrective move, but it's fine, right? I mean, that's sufficient profit potential. You just want to take it. So dollar CAD here, what we're seeing is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and essentially we're just expecting a simple three-wave move back, right? So this one here is probably still developing as an A. Some point in time, if you can see a decent corrective pullback like this, coming back towards 50 and 618, we'll likely take that short trade back towards 1.3555. Okay, and that would be the trade that you probably want to focus on. Okay, so the direction is clear. What we just need to do is wait out for the corrective structure to come to us, and we'll then have a sell trade potential. Dollar yen. Okay, recent move from NFP, very impulsive to the downside. So we are seeing again potentially that this is a big three-wave move. This may develop into a three-wave pullback as well. So yesterday development of it for this bounce is pretty fast. So ideally we want to expect a little bit of a pullback and then another move up to give us that three-wave corrective before we look for a sell. Okay, so again, just be a little bit patient. Some of this major pairs after NFP had developed some impulse move, and it's natural that you need to just be patient. After the impulse, wait for the correction to come to us, and then we'll take that trade. Okay, so dollar yen has a setup here as well. Wait for this pullback, and then we'll look for that sell trade. Gold is a little bit tricky as of now in terms of like there are generally few possibilities of how it can develop. First case scenario over here that we're looking at is price seems to stall around 618 retracement, and of course this is very impulsive, right? So we're basically neutral now. We're not looking for really focus on buy or sell, but what we want to see is how the market is going to develop next. Now one thing here is, first possibility, if this just comes down fast, we get a V, then what we do is we wait for a correction and we look for this down move, and we'll see it as this is a 1, 2, 3, right? So it's a very big corrective structure. Alternatively, if this just comes down slow like this, okay, then what we'll expect is one more push up, and then we'll change the label a bit here over to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this one here will probably be ending the entire piece of correction, which means this will be your first move, second move, third move. Okay, so the only way we're gonna have a little bit more confirmation is to just wait out and see how the price is going to develop here. So far we have like 1 day of tiny bit of consolidation, but it's just too small, right? So we just want to give it a little bit more time and see how it's going to react, because you can see over here, it came down fast. It does a few days of not moving and then it just goes back up. So same thing here, you can just do that 1 or 2 days not moving and then it can just come down, right? So you just be patient. Okay, so that's on gold. Crude oil over here, we have updated this a little bit to a triangle structure, okay, because of this recent drop here. I think the consolidation may have completed, and what we're seeing here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or basically A, B, C, D, E, triangle done. And with that, this established the top. So if you can get a decent corrective pullback, we can look for another sell in crude oil. Okay, from a larger scheme of things, this is how it looks like. Alright, so potentially what we're seeing here is from this very top, we have that 1, 2, 3. Okay, this may be the fourth wave developing, or even this can be, let me just do a very quick check, right? So that, yeah, so likely this will be the 3. Okay, ending here with a sub 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be the 3, this will be the 4, and we're looking at the last wave down to complete this cycle. Okay, so yeah, that would be the scenario that we're looking, let me just very quickly put that in so you can visualize what I just mentioned. Okay, and yeah, this would be the entire structure that we're looking at, right? So 5 would definitely be somewhere down there. So with that, if you go back to the lower time frame, right, so this is something you can consider, but wait for the pullback, right? Wait for the corrective pullback, then that will be the sell trade. S&P, okay, so recently with NFP we have a drop, and then after that post NFP we kind of recover that. So right now we're basically back to where we started. This does look a little bit of a V shape. From an overall structure, of course, can this be the bottom and we start to see upside? Yes, right. But if we look into 3-wave expectation, what we have is 1, 2, 3, a reset, and then this one here, it looks 1. So we are expecting this to set up a corrective and one more drop back to retag this low before the upside, right? So short term here, if we can get same thing as dollar yen, a pullback, a move out, corrective structure here, 618, top of the channel, we can look for a sell, at least for the near term. Okay, so that's the view on S&P indices. Okay, last one here on Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin recently kind of go against the equity side, right? Very strong rally from this little bottom here. So this is very clear, just like pound dollar. If you can get a decent corrective pullback, we'll look for the buy. Okay, so this one quite straightforward. Okay, nothing complex on this structure here. So good. That's all from me for this week video over here. All the best to your trading, and I'll see you guys in the next one.